Thank you all for joining us here today. I'd like to begin by offering the land acknowledgement and our gratitude for being here. We would like to acknowledge the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprising the Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation, the Stoney Nakoda, including the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. The city of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. And again, we're very grateful to be here, and I'm very happy to have all of you here today. This is Nickle at Noon online. I hope you're all in the right place, where every week we bring you a discussion about art and culture here and now. We run every Thursday from 12 to 1, and we have, including today, we have 3 more presentations this year. Then we'll take a break over Christmas and pick up again probably the second week in January. The details should be posted to our website and of course our various social media accounts shortly. Always free. You can register on Eventbrite or connect with Marla if you would like to avoid Eventbrite. The full program is found on our website, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And you're welcome to join our mailing list if you would like email notifications of all of these fabulous presentations. I would ask that during the presentation you keep your microphones on mute, and we'll hold the questions until the end of the presentation. If you have something burning, you're welcome to use the chat feature. Marla or I will interrupt the speaker if there's a burning question, and otherwise we'd love to hear your voices at the end. And please be aware that we're recording the presentation and that the cleaned up edited version will be uploaded to the Nickle's website. It usually takes me about 4 or 5 days. I just put up Diana Sherlock's presentation from last week, and all of the presentations are there, and you're welcome to watch them, rewatch them, share them, like them. I think you can comment on them. Just note that the participant names and the chat feature will not be included in the recording, but if you speak, your voice will be part of the final recording. I'm Michelle Hardy, curator, one of the curators with Nickle Galleries, and your host today. Marla Halstad is our front-end manager and the co-host. She's writing behind the scenes, helping people get into Zoom. I'll just note that next week we are welcoming a group of students from Art 465 who've been doing a really interesting project on wearable design for mental health, working with instructor Tia Halliday. And I think that it should be young and fresh and really interesting. The week following will be Museum and Heritage Studies 533 student presentations. These students have been engaged in some really interesting projects as well. So we're not done with the season yet. But the main event, today's speaker, I'm really thrilled to welcome, is Helen Hajnoczky. And now I'm going to say wonderful things about you, Helen, so you can blush. Working on the campus of the University of Calgary, you meet all sorts of wonderful, intriguing people who occasionally turn out to be even more intriguing and more wonderful than you realized. Helen Hajnoczky is certainly one of those individuals. By day, she's the editorial coordinator for the University of Calgary Press. By night, and presumably weekends and holidays, she's a visual poet and artist with a diverse practice. Last winter, you might have read about Helen in Calgary Arts Development's Living a Creative Life initiative. She wrote about a wonderful story about her father's loom and learning to weave. Well, for those of you who know me, you would know that my spidey sense was tingling. Helen is active in various literary projects and groups and has published her work in journals and anthologies and has a number of beautiful books of poetry published, including in 2010, Poets and Killers, A Life in Advertising, published by Snare Invisible, which was shortlisted for the Exposine's English Book of the Year Award. A chapbook called Bloom and Martyr, which won the 2015 John Lent Poetry Prose Award. It was published by Kalamalka Press in 2016, and MUG-yar-az-knee, sorry, I'll try that again, Helen, MUG-yar-az-knee, published by Coach House in 2016, the subject of today's talk and a creative, poetic, and visual examination of cultural identity. This book was shortlisted for the Stephen G. Stephenson Award for Poetry. A forthcoming book is promised from Invisible Publishing and is due out next October 2021. Maybe Helen can say a few words about that book. It's just amazing that she has time to learn how to weave. Hajnoczky received a BA in English from the University of Calgary. Yay, she's an alumni, where her research focused on avant-garde feminist poetics. She also holds a Master of Arts and an MLIS degree from McGill University. She's a first-generation Canadian citizen of Hungarian descent, and she shares her artwork, including her collaborations with her late father, Steve Hajnoczky, on Instagram and blogs, and I will make sure to post those handles to our website. It's a pleasure to welcome Helen Hajnoczky. So I'm going to stop sharing, Helen, and it's over to you.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be able to do this, especially so many months into sort of isolation. So I'm going to start with a reading from the book and then with a display of the visual poems from it, and then show a short stop motion animation based on the book, and then do a kind of poetic show and tell of some things I have here at home that are related to the book. So the title is very unpronounceable. It's MUG-yar-az-knee. And actually, Coach House, when they first accepted the book, they thought, well, I don't know about the title. It's pretty hard to say, especially considering how hard it is to Google my name if you've only heard it. And then after we chatted about the meaning of the title, they thought, yeah, this should be the name of the book. So I'm very grateful to them for accommodating me. So the word MUG-yar-az-knee means to explain in Hungarian, but if you translate it literally, it means make it Hungarian. And the book is about, in large part, it's about my relationship with my dad and our relationship with the Hungarian Canadian community here in Calgary, and sort of connections to other cities as well, and the different activities one might do as part of those communities. But the reason I called it that was thinking about this idea of how you become your immigrant parents' culture, to what extent you pick it up or don't pick it up, and how much those experiences are shared between people. So there's I had this sense of, well, how much is this a Hungarian thing, and how much is this a thing that just my dad and I are into, or me and my family that we're into, or that we do together. So the whole book is written in direct address, so it's always you do something, in that way of thinking through, like, how do you pick up or embody or set aside your family's culture, your parents' culture, as you negotiate that sort of Canadian identity. So I think the biggest thing that's happened since the publication of this book that impacts how I think of it now is that my father passed away in 2018. So I'm very grateful that I completed the book while he was with us and was able to share it with him. So I'll be reading poems that reflect just on my own experience or on our experience together, then show the stop motion movie, which I made after he passed away, and I was asked at Loft 112 to present something from the book, but I wasn't feeling like emotionally ready to read from the book in front of an audience. So my sister and I made the movie together, and I think it's hopefully it'll be pretty fun, this sort of way of sort of working through grief in a way that is not directly addressing grief, but I think is humorous and how to make these sort of memories fun again. And then the objects I'm going to show and the little poems I'll read with them reflect on where I am now, sort of this current moment after my father's passed. So I will just switch things around here. So there's the book. Alta do dull. Dull, this altitude holds the night close to the dull moon, but here, gleaming like pitch, we're home again. In English, peace attends the breeze, angels watch you tumble from the trees, swaddled in nightlight, aching for daybreak. In Hungarian, the peppers and carrots and onions take up flutes and fiddles, flailing stalks and jiving roots, they leap into the pot. Instead of waiting for your branch to break, you're ebbed to sleep by a simmering cauldron, the English of your mother's song, Hungarian of your father's. The nightlight dances on the wall like a pepper set for the soup. All to tell, not too dull, you sleep. Állatkert. A K-car or school bus or suburban to tour the living bestiary of the plains. Point, and this is the North American land-dwelling water horse, the mountains, cold north, snow, and each hide is a map splotched with continents, aerial views of possible worlds, where a cow is a hippo, where a hippo is a horse, where Hungarian is Latin, where the suburban is broken down at the Petrocan just outside of town, bus broken down in the Kananaskis, K-car stuck in the city snow. Black squirrels scramble up birch trees, cows graze, a field of hay bales, a bowl of giant shredded wheat, and the time rolls by. Foothills roll into Rockies, snow settles, packs into ice on the sidewalk. You're a quiet little creature, snow mammal, prairie dweller, adapted from a temperate climate, the rhythm of your hibernation, the Latin of your silly jokes. Cukorka. Your reflection splintered in foil, these solemn treats, this bitter history, sugary sweet. Unhooked from the tree you melt, a plastic angel dipped in flames, blurred and bubbling. You unwrap the old world, you chew and smile, you don't swallow until they look away. Check if you're ready, roll and tighten your neckerchief, roll on your stockings, stand at attention, deliver your lines with conviction, a more personable person, a more Magyar-Hungarian. Paint eggs, throw rose water, thread needles, weave leather, serve dinner to your elders. Recite your practice lines with your flawless intonation, with your perfect lack of understanding. How well you know your friends whom you cannot understand, who cannot understand you. Savor the illicit snippets of English smuggled out to the parking lot. Together you roll and ignite secrets. No common contemporary word. Sputtering drone petticoats, embroidered vests, red leather boots. No one cooks over an open fire, scratches words into wood, drinks by candlelight. You want a sharp consonant, an axe of a word to split myths, to cleave false memories. You want a word to spit. This was no world, no time anyone lived in. The truth was a city, Baroque facades, paved streets, three-piece suits and hat pins. But war is a dry husk to jam in people's mouths, so you let the letter rust and dull. The rhythm of that drone, that twirl of skirts, the burn of liquor in your throat. Juice. Every drop, this vocabulary squeezed to the rind, these letters down to the pith, this pulpy language sugary thick. You thirst for something smooth, something that flows a cool rinse, bright and clear. Watered down, no need to sip, you can slug it back past your lips, swallow the meaning diluted, it slips down easy. Elfelejt. Away half, yet you still grasp. Get out of the car, get up the railing. Where once you, but now only, you leave the party to go dancing. You step out into the early morning air, the breeze whirling the skirt of your nightgown, the dew beneath yet then around you follow. In circles, you are after being followed. No more your hand, or could you make out? What days? No more language. But that gingerbread man, so cute, with the icing and sprinkles, how could you not laugh? You won't remember this, but long after you forgot, still the candles huddled in the church, empty pews echoing your children's sobs. For it all. For a song, your sweet soft face the day you were born. Here only because the gloom loomed too heavy there. You, old enough now to play with the fancy dolls, their scarlet slippers, the pom-poms of their tiny headdresses. Don't forget what they suffered, what they sacrificed for you. But you. So you should fall asleep with a sad song in your heart, should never put away your toys, no matter how old you grow. Whether you're twirling the pleats of your skirt at the dance house or running to the bank, whether you're stewing gouache or browsing at the mall, whether you're memorizing folk songs or sipping tea, watching the rain from the kitchen window, remember to feel the weight of every happiness crushing you like hail. Every happiness you have is an accident of war. Koinhanyav. In a separate bowl, add a pinch and saute, add and simmer until, to taste if desired, if necessary, if desired until, form until flat, fold in with a spoon, fluff with a fork. Cook through until firm, fry until crisp, bake until soft. Serve with and add to, good with if desired, spilled on the floor, a slip of the tongue, beaters against the bowl. You add too much, your palate parched, you burn your tongue. A crusted pot, a clutter of cutlery, dishwasher stuffed. You cook this up, your hunger, your sweetness. Alone in the kitchen, you lick the spoon. MUG-yar. This place to build a better place, collected from the grinder, a steel drum full of fairy dust you toss across the shop yard. Low gray buildings, smokestacks, and grain elevators. Styrofoam container of fried rice from the crummy Irish pub at the edge of the industrial park. Hoppy cloud spewing from the brewery. You poke around the old motorcycles you can learn to weld. You set off on an expedition through the wild of rusted machines, abandoned lean-tos of pipes and siding, every nook a hook for your imagination. But you grow up and you work inside. You are never tired. You are always tired. You are never tanned. You have soft, sore hands. You haven't built anything. Autumn. You are meant to inherit this rococo ache. Delicate little cakes and spoons, home torn away. But your city is an ice pick. Razor horizon, glass skyscrapers, mountain river, shards of ice. You adopted another's resentments, an excuse to escape the clean prairie lines of home. Now in your own chosen exile, you have your own ache, bright winter displaced. In your memory, where it is now always spring, cool breeze lingering. But dreams melt like ice, concrete is concrete. Your new city, humid, thick embrace of summer nights. Here you're yearning for the open sky, there your squandered time. You're coming, going, leaving, back again. Home is wherever you are not. Operencia. Once there was in the land that never was, against the 7th-6th country and beyond, still beyond the sea, followed once and went, now tell this story. Once, a beautiful day in a meadow, once there was a clearing of that kind, and it is still there where it is, not beyond, still there where it never was. And they're still alive if they haven't died, they still run if they haven't stopped, they still sing if they haven't died, they still walk if they can, and they still live in happiness if they aren't dead. And with good fortune, they still live peacefully if they haven't died. This is your story. This is the end. This was true. The rest goes on this way as well. So this is the end. And if that's the story, it was told. It has run out. This was the story and the end. But if you want, run away with it. They still went on some direction or other until they stopped. And this was true once in the land that never was. Paradichum. Glory of sun through the market stall's awnings, choir of fruit in the stands. Sample slices, each glimmering harp strum of juice on your tongue. Bite of knowledge, what this salad sauce stew will taste like. But it should be dressed, the smooth flesh of bitter vine. Q. You wander the shop stacks, dust off tales of knights driving swords through shields, tales of a shadowy figure in the dark cobblestone alley, sliding a dagger through ribs. You find a pressed rose in the pages of a fairy tale, the thick flower imprinted on the pages. You prick yourself on a crisp thorn like a stray needle from your Christmas tree in the rug, stray needle from your sewing box, stray fish hook in the corner of a drawer, claw shed by the bookstore's cat. Enough of dark stores. You stride from the antiquarians with a chime into the sun. You go home. You clean up after last night's party. You don't squint, pressing a needle into the side of a fat balloon. Luke. Oh, look, you tangled your embroidery again. Snarled loops of pink and violet crimped and knotted. You deftly split the fibers as you jam the thread blunt on the needle. You punctured the linen everywhere but the stencil. You are the undisputed expert of sticking your sore fingers, trying to correct this mess of thread, this lumpy flower. You're never going to make anything as good as your grandmother. Sotar. So here in exile, you are stuck in tar, the viscous decay holding your vocabulary in place, your slang preserved in the decomposing sludge, your words stasis, black ooze. You cannot move but dissolve away. In the beginning, there was the language, and the language was with you, and the language was you. But decrepit, a plume of smoke or crumble of burnt words, compacted, you are the skeletal remains, a relic, anthropological evidence. You hang, cling to the phrases that will disintegrate when pulled to the surface. Clogged with muck, you cling to strings of words too weak to hold your weight, too brittle to help you heave yourself up to the light. Uti Kang. Paperback travel guide for a hardcover country. Signatures of thoroughfares stitched with streets, tipped in cathedrals and coffee houses. Appendix of relics, a saint's hand, a garden of Soviet statues. Each leaf set, recto, prominent structures, familiar foods, turns of phrase. Verso, turns of phrase, it's changed since the 50s. Special edition inserted with an annotated map showing you the family home, the church, the hospital, the school, each fled. A chapter for the market, color illustrations of yellow peppers, paprika, dried sausages. A chapter for the hotel room, cleaned and straightened on departure. Pockets for pressing, a return ticket, baggage stickers, shelved between the dictionary and the travel journal. It gathers dust around it, like children to a storyteller. It whispers its secrets. Okay, so now we'll move on to the movie, which Michelle will kindly set up, as she knows how to do so.
Just starting now, so if you could just give me a thumbs up, Marla, maybe somebody.
Okay, so now I'll do a kind of presentation of some objects. So here is the first.
Sorry.
That's the music that cucumber salad makes, actually. Okay. So this is you seated across the table, leaned forward, warmth and approval. This is some cheerful conversation, the content forgotten, the glow lingering. This is a chance for variation, though I always choose home again. This is the highlight and the texture. This is fondness in a moment. If hard were a taste, I'm not sure it would be so pungent. This is a gift in the giving, a soup left imagined. This is the kind of care of nothing but well, the sort of heartache of a sore throat, the sort of heartache of parenthood. This is a little pain and soothing. I keep it in memory. When it hurts, I laugh and hurt it back. This is a presence, ever present and crisp in the sun, in a warm sandwich on top of a mountain, or eased into a sauce, both clear or obscure. There is no swifter sum or total, no single object so entirely complete. This is an object whose purpose is an axiom and upon questioning cannot be explained. This is a reminder not to wait, or not to wait longer than is just right. This is a vulnerable material and steady gravity of sunshine. This is a patience carried as if to guarantee such an opportunity, or this is a moment finally seized. This is a reminder to enjoy what there is to enjoy and to bottle the good memories. This is potential but common enough. Mine, yours, and ISBN, shared and experienced. This is also the delicate memories you sketched out for us. Each childhood recollection, the geography of youth, a drastic difference to the blank cold you left it for. This is the chance to stand at the front of all your stories, to locate them in time and space, and in me. These are the little things that are both light and certainty. These are the little childhood thoughts of joy and dancing. These are a decoration, but what such a step isn't? This is the flood of song and a reminder of taking some on anyone. This is a reminder of arms. This is the heat of a room packed and carefree, that warmth. This is the careful way we show love. This is paper, ink, glue, and a binder. This is the way art moves through spaces, the wind in its hair. This is the way we think about each other when we're so far apart. This is the way things don't have to be functional to work. This is the way we show we love each other. This is you walking alone on the shore, a moment of your care, time, and appreciation. This is a moment held in an attic for I don't know how long, dusted off and brought back into the sun. This is my isolation, deep into spring, sitting with your favorite drink, painting from a book with your notes. This is a moment of sunshine. This is the way our lives bleed together, art into labor, an unexpected inkling. This is a discovery after you've gone, a work of your own, so prescient of mine, of a copy of Hours and Constellations uncovered along with the piles of obsolete tech. This is a fragile reminder of the coincidences that shape our lives. It's very small. So this is a tiny secret, the sort of little object whose ambiguity entices me. This is the way we wonder and obscure the past, unfold in such extraordinary opportunities. This is what happens when you aren't watching me. This is a moment we wish we'd shared, but which we brought all, sorry. This is a moment we wish we shared, but which we all brought you to in memory. This is rather inappropriately self-confident, and the only thing I remember is that it's unusual for the man to cook and the woman to put her feet up. How unusual. This is the way we pass history along, despite the limited contact and conversation, despite my hint of confusion. This is the evidence of hands and patterns, far and past, of work and craft. This is a tradition I can touch on, but can't touch until you give it to me, in your parlor, adorned from carpet to ceiling with such thoughtful artistry. This is the most remarkable link. As I sat on the floor of my room, contemplating the drawings and the blanks, you hugged the author, folding her affection and lessons into your life. This is a point of such significance to me that to discover it in you is unbelievable. This is the collapsing of so much time and space into me and you. These are our strange schemes and a cup of mulled wine in the street. See, these are the seeds blossoming into the These are the seeds blossoming into the many flowers of our works, the image stuck in our hearts that you once held. This is how something as fragile as a flower is passed through generations, even when the binding disintegrates and you are gone. This is the rain running down the cobbled road from Mátyás Templom, the rain soaking through my coat. This is a simple desire worked out in thread, a comfort carefully folded and placed in a gift bag. This is a memory realized for myself. This is one of those things we all seem to own, but whose provenance is never known. Excuse me. These are your plans and sketches left behind to remind me that art is always an opportunity in the making. This is the view you will have forever, a trinket, a reminder of the first moment of true peace. And this is my favorite photo of my dad. All right, and that's it.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you, Helen. It was just
Thank you.
so lovely and so personal, and thank you for sharing that with us. We can open it up to questions, and starting out with one from one in the chat. Helen, have you considered incorporating applique into wall hangings for presentation of your visual work?
Ooh, so sort of in a very vague way, I think. I'm always sort of hoping to do more projects than I ever seem to actually do. But I think, so actually even drawing the images with the letters was kind of laborious for me. I'm not by nature a talented drawer, so that took quite some time. And embroidery, I'm like improving upon a bit now. They had a class taught by a woman who was visiting her family from Hungary, and she showed us how to do the kalocha style. So it makes it so much easier, but mine is still pretty messy. So I'm hoping to kind of move the fabric and the poetry together a bit more in the future, but I haven't made any meaningful gestures in that direction yet. So, but I hope so.
Well, it looks pretty good to me. Other questions? I know we've got lots of family members. This is your moment. Yeah, please, Nikki, go ahead.
Hi, Helen. I'm really fascinated by what you're doing with the objects and how you seem to set poems on them. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the process of doing that. And is that an ode to the object that you're presenting? Is it a translation? Yeah, if you could talk about that.
Yeah, I guess probably in part a bit of each. I think I'm very interested in objects, I guess, generally that are, I don't know, they seem to accumulate so much meaning and hold them so much. So it's a book or something everyday, like a pepper. But every time I see it, it seems to have such heft. And I got onto this. I've been doing grief counseling over Zoom as well. And one day she had me she said, oh, bring some objects that remind you of the person. And I realized as I sort of gathered them all together, one, how spread out and kind of everywhere they are. And those ones that are like a bit unexpected, but especially how many food ones there were. Like there's yeah, this thing with the peppers. I remember my sister saying, she was like, oh, someone like, oh, could you pick me up some peppers? And they were like, why? And she was like, I don't understand the question. What do you mean why? Like, we just need them. So yeah, I think for me, they're just, they always have that like emotional like resonance or aura. So it's kind of a way to explore that. And it's funny, like writing a memoir like that when you're pretty young. Like I think I wrote it in my 20s. And especially like with my dad passing away, how much all of those things have changed for me since then. So it's kind of like a way to keep thinking about that in like a new direction that's not just sort of like repeating the existing book. Yeah, thank you.
Helen, I was really moved by your childhood books. And although I had different books, you know, the gravity of those books and the importance of those books and sitting on the floor and poring over them and you know, seeing yourself essentially, or your future self reflected in those books, really, really hit home. Other questions? Comment from Catherine Yolatello. Thanks so much, Helen. I love your bittersweet humor. And from Stacey, beautiful work as always, Helen.
Oh, thank you.
From Lopi, that was really incredible. And there were several pieces that really blew me away, but I have, oh, just get back to work. Yeah, well, we all share that. Other questions?
I thought I mentioned this one. This seems like one of the strangest coincidences. So, like we had this when we were little, and obviously it's been very like well loved. And my Hungarian language skills have always been sort of subpar for the amount of exposure I've had to the language. So I think these sort of like language teaching books have always held like a special like resonance for me, because I never quite fully understood them, I think, the way I should have. Like that's how I feel about it. But I love this book and I love the pictures. And it turns out, so we put it in that stop motion video. And then our family friend in Hungary, which we didn't know, wrote, oh, my grandma wrote that book. We're like, what? A very small world. And like, I don't know, it's just like such a bizarre coincidence. Because I always think of these like Hungarian objects that I have as very, you know, random, I guess. So it's very neat to find this connection. So she showed me some when we went to visit in November of last year. She showed us some of the other things her grandma had written, and some photos of her, and it was very special. So I think this one continues to accumulate meaning.
Well, the stop motion is just, I've seen it a couple times now, and it's always such a delight. You must have had a lot of fun making that.
Yeah. Yeah. Julia, my sister, and I did the voice acting, and we had to do a lot of takes because we just end up giggling trying to get through it. So I think maybe on the 10th try I finally stopped laughing hysterically. But I also should thank my mom, who helped me cut out all of the little flowers and pictures. And back when we could visit in each other's houses, let me make the movie there. So thanks to my mom as well.
Well, thanks, Mom and family members, because it's a wonderful presentation, and you know the book is wonderful and lovely. Oh, Helen, please, can you tell us about the upcoming book?
Oh yes, so it is building out of the project that was in that chapbook you mentioned, Bloom and Martyr. So it has 2 long poems. One is a brand new one, and it's about Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, but rewritten from the point of view of the Green Knight. And the other one is this sort of creepy flower poems. It's very sort of like a Gertrude Stein, like that sort of style, the sort of broken grammar. So trying to like pull out meaning from the sound and texture of words more than communicated in sentences. But I'm working on that now with my friend Derek Bullia is the editor. So we're chipping away at that. and it should be out in October. It doesn't have a name yet, so that's why I'm being big about that. But yeah, it's been wonderful rewriting it. It was sort of the flower poems are a bit older, but we're revising them quite extensively. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
That's wonderful. We'll all look forward to the as yet untitled volume coming out next year. I see a few people have are showing their faces. Mary, did you have a question? You'll have to unmute yourself. There you go. Nope.
There. Oh, hi. I've just been sitting here kind of mulling over everything and having it wash over me. I was thinking of, with my Croatian background, there's a lot of connection, Helen, with many of the items that you showed and the embroidery and so on. It's always much more vivid and bright. That's why I love Hungarian embroidery. But I really can relate to it. And can you even comment further on, like the poetry or the objects, which came first, and what was his sense of what you were doing?
Yeah, so I think all those objects and things he made really inspired me, and I think especially because the written language, I don't think I really learned how to read Hungarian properly until I was in my 20s, despite everyone's best effort. It's very complicated. Very phonetic, actually, the reading of it. I'm lying. It's hard to speak, easy to read, but the reading is what I had the most trouble with. So I think the visual elements of the culture became especially meaningful to me because I could easily sort of access that and enjoy it. So he had at home a chest that he had carved with some tulips on it. And I think that image of the tulips is the one that stuck with me most. And before I knew really what visual poetry was even, I would find myself sort of doodling the tulips in my notes in class and putting little letters in them and sort of thinking about the strangeness of Hungarian and language and like bringing the art together. And it's nice, actually, he didn't design, but he was a welder, and he and others made the commemorative sculpture at the university that's near the train station. So that also, I think, like watching them make that when I was a kid was a really sort of remarkable moment for me. So, when I miss him back when we were actually working on campus, I can go walk by the sculpture and sort of spend some time with that. And this binder was my grandmother's with these designs.
Wow.
Let's see, it has the title page somewhere. Or does it? Yeah, so I think this also made a really big impression on me. These sort of, oh yeah, here we go. There we go. So I think this one in particular really made a big impression on me, and I thought about it a lot as I was drawing the visual poems for the book. I found myself thinking about it a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Helen,
oh yeah. I was just gonna say all those like connections between the countries and the region too. Like my partner's last name is Ukrainian and actually means weaver, both in Ukrainian and Hungarian. So I thought that was fun. It's kind of, you can see like where people were like trading together or influencing each other across borders. Yeah.
I was just going to add that many of those designs remind me of, textiles in our collection, the coxcombs and the tulips and the carnations, these sort of spread from, obviously from Hungary, east and west. And that's really interesting. So.
Yeah, what was I going to, I was going to show this and didn't have time, but I think this was gifted to me by my family too. And yeah, it's always those like the super bright colors. And Especially like the Kalocha region has this like very colorful, like, and multicolored like imaginary plants with like all these flowers shooting off them and stuff. So it's very like joyful and yeah.
Wonderful. They're very specific colors, like it's that red, that blue.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. All very luminous.
Wow. Well, unless there's one more brave soul, I think
I have a question.
Oh, yes, go ahead. Deb.
I hope this is a simple one.
Mhm.
I paint and do calligraphy, so I was interested in what kind of paint you used for painting your little objects that appeared there and in the book, or obviously in the original of the book, and what color red that is. Thank you.
So I used for this one, it was painted with acrylic paint, and I have to say I used it straight out of the bottle. So I had originally thought to do the pieces in the book to paint them, and eventually I found it too difficult to get the smoothness that I had hoped to get in the pictures. So I made them on illustration paper, like a kind of larger format ones, using Sharpie paint pens, which are amazing because they're so opaque and they they glide on really beautifully, and they like unlike other pens, you don't have that problem of like streakiness. You can really like fill it in, and the paint will kind of settle into a nice texture. But they're also the worst because now and then, and usually when you've just finished something and are like doing the last like stroke, they'll blot and ruin the whole thing. So I'm kind of torn about the Sharpie paint pens. They're great. They look beautiful and they're like a pleasure to work with until they're not. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, well, we are just over 1 o'clock, so I think that we will we'll break it there. But Helen, I want to say again, thank you so much. This was such a generous presentation, and it's such a delight to work alongside you in the TFDL when we're actually in the TFDL.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
to learn a little bit more about Helen outside of work. Whole other fabulous, creative, dynamic artist that is in our midst. So thank you so much. I hope to see all of you next week for the next presentation, which is student presentations about wearable art and mental health. So please come back and join us. And the recording of this presentation will be loaded to our YouTube channel probably in the next couple of days. So please watch for that. So anyway, a virtual round of applause.